You've been watching any women's basketball lately?
Man, I've watched nothing but the Pistons in the playoffs, and they better
Now,
stay there.
the issue with the WNBA is it's hard to watch their games because I bought the league pass and the league pass is like not good. You don't
It's
get the
hard to
Caitlin.
watch the NBA
You
games.
don't get the Caitlin Clark versus
Angel Reese.
Angel. You don't get these games that you want to buy the pass for, right?
Right.
And it's just so unfortunate. But there's a new league in town, and we're not talking about the other. So it's like 3-4 different competing leagues, right? So this new league is called UpShot League. It's a startup women's basketball league, and they just literally raised $40 million, and they're going to compete with obviously the WNBA, but also there's this like other league, new startup called Unrivaled. That's a women's basketball league as well. Now they all don't offer the same product, but at the end of the day, it's entertainment, it's women, it's basketball. So, what do you think about all these multiple leagues coming up? Like, is this good for women's sports because they are getting investments? Or do you look at this as a dilution of the product? And if y'all spreading it too thin, it's not going to help.
I think it's getting spread too thin. We already know that, unfortunately, the WNBA doesn't generate as much money as the NBA.
Correct.
Which means that the WNBA stars don't get to make nearly as much money from their pro contracts as the NBA.
They just got a raise, though, so it's some millionaires in there.
Right, but we talked about this before. There are some women in the WNBA who might have been better off going to 4 years of school or 8 years of school, getting a doctorate and making that salary versus going to the WNBA and only making $200,000 if they're a star. Yeah. You could have made 4 as a physician, right? Whereas in the NBA, that NBA money is unparalleled to any
generational
career
wealth.
you can work. Right? They're making more money than Fortune 500 CEOs playing basketball. So I think if there's already not enough money being generated from consuming the WNBA, which is the biggest women's pro basketball league in the world, making another one, not that there shouldn't be more opportunities for the women to play professionally, but I'm just thinking about if you're trying to make a living from it, I can't imagine how much they're going to be paying them. Now, we know that there's some women's pro leagues overseas that pay more money than the WNBA, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're bigger or more popular. But I don't know that there's enough consumer demand spending enough money on this to pay them what they should make for being a pro at what they do.
Now, I do think that the NBA, the NFL, they all have monopolies. And here's the thing. Sometimes having one big player is actually better. And let me give you an example. Let's say we had 100 different phone companies. You wouldn't have the iPhone.
Right.
You wouldn't have the iPad. You wouldn't get these innovations that cost $800, $1,000. So if you have 4 or 5 different leagues, because the NBA was split up. It was multiple leagues at one point. The MLB was split up. It was multiple leagues, and they merged and acquired different leagues. Now you got the MLB, you got the NFL, you got the NBA. I think they should have a monopoly on the sport in order to produce the level of product that they have. That is one of the situations where I'm okay with them having a semi-monopoly on that sport. However, I think if you wanted to invest in women's sports in this situation, just try to get into the basketball, try to open up a WNBA team. That's a better investment. Try to work with some of these players on doing documentary. If you want to be in the business and leverage because the WNBA,
you can be around it and support it.
You can be around it. You don't have to create a competing league.
Right.
And I think that's a big issue because now it's like money. Y'all just throwing money at different sports leagues that's coming up, and I think that dilutes the brand. And there is in business, there is situations when the industry can grow tremendously, but nobody really makes no real money.
Right.
That's very possible, and people don't understand how that works because, like, okay, let's say it's 5 WNBA leagues or competing leagues that are similar to the WNBA, and women's sports viewership triples. Okay, that don't mean the WNBA is making more money.
Right.
That don't mean,
out.
yeah, now you got 6, 7 different brands that all of this money is going to, and then the WNBA losing money, this startup losing money, that startup losing money, this startup losing money, when they could have just invested into the WNBA or around it, made different teams, expanded the league, because the WNBA is only like 22 years, 25 years old. Like it's not that deep of it's not like the NBA. So they're expanding teams. We just got the Detroit team that's coming back.
Right.
Cleveland's coming back. Houston is coming back. So I think that is the lane. If I was an investor, I would put my money in. I'm not saying this is not going to get the viewership and people are not interested, because the demand may be there, but just because the demand is there doesn't mean the capital investment is a good investment.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people don't understand how the industry can win, but the investors or the owners can lose.
You know what I just thought about? Sports gambling is on such a rise. I'm wondering how much additional revenue incentive exists in having a sports league by just generating revenue from that. It's got to be crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to argue that they could make 50% extra from gambling platform revenue by having a league, and instead of just only making money from people actually watching or streaming the game or jersey sales.
Yes, that's why they're doing it.
There might be a whole nother 50% of upside just by allowing people to pour money in gambling.
Yes.
So maybe it is a lot more profitable than we see on the surface, simply because, like we said, you can't even stream the game without having a FanDuel account, and then it's going to keep popping up ads at you, and eventually you're going to end up...
It's extremely profitable. I know for a fact it's profitable, because if you win, they kick you off. So they only want losers on there. Literally. So essentially, if you've been sports betting for years, that means you've probably been losing a long time, right? I knew a guy hit for $80,000 and they banned his account. He had to get lawyers involved. He got his $80,000, but they said he can't even go to their casino because they was like sponsored by some type of, it was like extension of a casino. They don't want winners on there, right? So I believe it is profitable. And again, that's my point. The industry can win, but that don't mean your investment in this new league or new team. Like people always say, LeBron need to start his own league. Like, no, he don't. He need to make $1 billion from the league he's in. Yeah. Like that, it just don't make sense. I don't think 3 NBA leagues would work. No. I don't think, because think about this, you got women's sports, you got college, WNBA, Unrivaled, this new league, that's 4 leagues that are major players in the women's basketball lane, and they all competitors. So I just don't see it being a good investment, but I hope to be wrong, because I don't make any money if I'm right. So I hope to be wrong. So shout out to the UpShot League, but I just don't like the spreading too thin. I just don't think it.
Yeah, and it's only so many players that are skilled enough to where we want to watch.
Exactly.
Because if we watch the league and half the players over here are here just because it's available, but they aren't as good as the folks in the other league, I'm gonna just watch the better league.
Exactly. And I was talking to a friend of mine's, and I was asking them, like, can you name 10 WNBA players that are black? What we started is, can you name 10? I asked her, can she name 10 white players from the NBA? And we was going through that, Luka, all this whole thing. And then I was like, 10. Can you name 10 black players from the WNBA? Obviously, Angel Reese, Asia Wilson, and it got kind of. That's it. I mean, the other girl, she's not even in, but she's not even in the league yet. But Juju Watkins, who's in. Yeah. But after that, I mean, it's like it's not that many. I mean, obviously Lisa Leslie, all these the legends. Right. But I'm talking about current people, and that just lets you know if the WNBA isn't branding itself that deep into sports fans, these other leagues are going to struggle.
No, that's a fact.
But